Hello, welcome to another episode with Coffee with the Sheriff. I'm Sheriff Danny H. Rogers with Guilford County Sheriff's Office in North Carolina. Today, my special guest is
Ralph Rodland. I'm a counselor at Mental Health Associates of the Triad and also a college student at Western Carolina University.
Well, welcome, Ralph. We thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to come out, for you to come out and talk with us. So, thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Western Carolina.
Yes. Distance learning.
Okay, distance learning is good. It's for me, it was time management. It taught me time management. Mm-hmm. Because fall behind you want to.
At your peril. It's all online, so it's that's been challenging.
I'm proud of you though, man.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I've needed to do it for about a decade and have just put it off, so better late than never.
Yeah, you know, we all have our moments where we've been procrastinators in our lives.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
I think those are times that where the real people come out, the real you. Mm-hmm. You know? Because what happens, we get caught up in the fact of, well, you know, I didn't do it. Oh, I'm too old now. Oh, I don't need it now. You know, my pastor years ago taught a New Year's Eve service. It was in 2000. Mm-hmm. And the title of the sermon was Finish What You Started. And the moment he said it, I knew. I was like, oh God, I didn't want to hear that. I really didn't. Because I had been in school and I had stopped. And I had been out of school at the time, 17, I had been out of college 17 years. So, you know, 9 years later, I say, you know what, I'm gonna go back. Mm-hmm. And so before then though, I went to Bible college at Love and Faith. Mm-hmm. So I went to Bible college there and I took theology. So I have an associate degree in theology. Mm-hmm. That was good. That kind of helped me understand more about the King James Version. Learn more about myself, spiritual warfare, spiritual strongholds, mm-hmm. Healing for damaged emotions, you know, stuff like that. We all. And I tell people all the time, I tell our staff, our command team, every week, mental health is real. Mm-hmm. It does not discriminate who you are.
Correct.
What you look like, who you love, who you worship to, mm-hmm. how much money you have, what kind of job you have. It doesn't. Right. And I found myself, after I finished the associate degree, it took me about 4 years to get it, but I got it. And 4 or 5 years later, I ended up in school at ECPI, mm-hmm. and I earned my bachelor's degree. And then I remember one day my wife was getting ready to graduate from Walden University, mm-hmm. doctoral degree. Mm-hmm. And she said, so when are you going back to get your master's? I said, girl, I'm done. And before she can walk across the stage, we was up in Ocean something, Maryland. What is that called up there? Ocean City, Maryland. And my phone rang. And it was Walden University. They said, well, Mr. Rogers said, we understand that you want to go back to school to get your master's. I said, but I didn't call you. I said, I'm at my wife's graduation. Talk with you on Monday. Mm-hmm. Long story short, I ended up going back, earning my master's, learned how to research, learned how to actually read in depth, mm-hmm. learned how to write.
Right, yes.
You know? And it's been a blessing. I've seen since I've been here as the sheriff, mm-hmm. I have utilized every degree, mm-hmm. one way or another.
Sounds like it. Each giving you different perspectives and things to focus on.
But you know, the best piece of this job is storytelling.
Yes.
People that are in powerful positions or in good positions or great positions, mm-hmm. They won't tell about themselves. And that's the most powerful piece of their journey while they're in any seat.
Absolutely.
Because people are looking and saying, well, hey, what about Danny? Talk to me about Danny, not share about Danny.
Right.
But that's enough of that. I'm here for you.
I'm also here for you.
Well, I thank you, Ralph. I do. I thank you for the opportunity.
Well, I'm doing the bachelor's in criminal justice because I know I want to work with this population, but I plan to get my master's in social work. But the two, while they seem on opposite sides of the perspective, I know I want to work with this population with mental health and addiction issues, folks who then find themselves involved in the criminal justice system. So it seemed like a great marriage of the two. And so I'll hopefully be at UNCG for their Master's in Social Work program starting next fall, hopefully, if that application process goes according to plan.
Well, it'll go well. If that's what you want, and you continue to stay the course.
Yes.
It'll go.
I'm putting it into motion.
That's what we do.
So I want to ask you what you think are the three biggest challenges that police face today. Whether you think that that's either locally here in Guilford County or nationally, it's really up to you.
Okay. Locally, the largest challenge that I see as the sheriff that we have seen with law enforcement is the lack of communication and trust that the citizens have with the organizations or for the organizations. I believe a lot of it has it stemmed from around the country. The big thing that we see today is that people talk about defunding the police. You don't want to defund the police.
Right.
I tell them, I say, you want policies and procedures reformed. You want them changed. You want training, tools put in place where men and women can do the job and learn the job. The culture has changed over the last 35 plus years that I've had a part to deal with law enforcement, from either law enforcement or the business arena, or better yet, just as a general citizen. I've seen the challenges that's been brought before us, and so what do? We know the issues. So what we do here with Guilford County Sheriff's Office is that we work diligently to train people how to have, one, respect, empathy, make sure that they don't violate anybody's constitutional law or rights, and make sure they're always professional. I tell them that when we talk about that and we deal with things, real life issues, it will carry us a long way. So those are things that I see that has been one of the challenges I've seen. Another challenge I've seen is the police brutality that we've seen. We've seen things around the globe that's been questionable, not just this year, 2020, but has been questionable since I can recall. I remember being a patrolman and seeing some stuff, and I'm like, oh man, I am not getting caught up in that. Called in the IA. Was asked about it, told about it, because I wanted to make sure that people understood that we are here to protect and serve, not here to abuse anybody.
Right.
I see that. That's number two. And the third thing that I see that's a big challenge for law enforcement has been the mental health piece. Mental health and pay. Okay. They go hand in hand, because if they're working a regular tour duty in the city or the county or the state that they work for, barely pays them enough to survive and feed their families, they go and work a moonlighting job or a part-time job to earn extra money. Well, what that does, it takes away from their physical and mental capacity to think clearly. Now, do I use that as an excuse? No. You still yet have to make sure that you do what you're supposed to do and do it right and fair. So those are some of the things that I see that's been the challenges.
I think that's a great list. It kind of is broad, encompassing all the areas. I think one of the big questions I have is, how do you feel is one of the best tools that you have to motivate officers and to increase officer morale with others that you serve with?
One of the things that I do, I was speaking with you a little earlier, I story tell. People come to the sheriff's office, Guilford County Sheriff's Office, and they're looking for a job, J-O-B, job.
Yes, sir.
They don't have the increment of a clue who I am, or who the captain is, or who the deputy chief is, or who the chief deputy is. I mean, they just don't, or the major.
Right.
And I ask them, have you researched me? Do you know who I am? And they say no, and I said, look, Shane,
Right.
you should not want to go and work for an organization and you don't know anything about the director or the leader. I story tell with them. I said, you see me today, suit, uniform, cowboy hat or vest, you know. But you don't know my journey. My journey, many times, you yourself are going through those. Not you as an individual, but those individuals. You are going through some of the same journey or the path that I traveled through. But the main thing is to persevere. Believe in yourself and don't give up. You know?
So true.
I tell them, I say, you know, I am a different man today than I was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Matter of fact, yesterday. You know, I talk about my salvation. I do. I tell them I'm a Christian. I don't push my faith on anybody.
No.
But I can utilize my faith walk for me to ensure me and to help me understand where I received my strength from that has caused me to get to different levels in life. And I said, now, I've given you that a little bit. If you will, go and research me. I said, you'll find the good, the challenge, and the not so pleasant. I said, one thing I've learned through the teaching of my pastor, Michael Thomas, is that all of us, one thing about all of us, we all have strength, weaknesses, and problems.
Absolutely, we do.
Who am I to look at somebody else and say they would never be anybody?
Wow, say that. Well, you know, you talked about that earlier as well. The empathy piece is so important, just as regular humans, being able to relate to other people and what they may be going through and what their challenges are and what they have to offer. What do you think is one of the best tools you have to attract new officers to the field? And then similarly, how do you feel that you're able to maintain motivation with veteran officers to keep them in the field once they're already here?
You know, it's interesting. I'm gonna step with the veteran officers first.
Sure.
I came back into the office of sheriff as the sheriff this time. Many of those was growing up in law enforcement with. We were kids.
You're right.
And so as I see them and watch them retire and held on through the stress, through the unequally opportunities, lack of equal opportunities, and they held on. That itself speaks volume. A lot of people don't know behind the scenes what goes on behind the scenes.
Right.
You wonder why this officer or that officer, or he or she, may not necessarily have the most pleasant smile on their face. Or maybe bitter. Well, the question is, what are they dealing with inside the office? The young men and women that come today, I meet everybody that comes to the door. Everyone that works here, my office door is always open, unless I'm in a meeting. Then my office door is closed. But the office door is open. I don't have a petition up that will hide a portion of the office where you have to look around and see if it's okay to speak to me. No. I'm just as human as you. And I need that communications piece too. Hey, Sheriff, how you doing? Hey, baby, how you doing? I call everybody baby, male, female. I call everybody baby. I guess that's a Southern thing. I'm learning, But I interact. I make sure that they understand. They're not just another man or woman in a uniform to me. They're not.
That's important.
So I get a chance to laugh with them, cry with them, pray with them, as well as they pray for me. Laugh with me and cry with me as well. You remember Pastor Chubb's Providence Baptist Church?
I don't.
I remember probably about 6 years ago, 14, so yeah, about 6 years ago. I just picked my wife up from work and we was going to have dinner. She loved herself some Harpers. I only loved Harpers because she did. So we sitting there about 10 o'clock at night, and I see these two well-dressed older black men walking across the parking lot, and my wife says, I believe that's Pastor Chubbs and Jeremiah Wright. Jeremiah Wright was President Obama's pastor. And as they got closer, I said, it is. Yeah. So we're in the restaurant, we're in there eating. And I'm starstruck, man. I'm like, shoot. Here's this guy, I've seen him on television, listened to some of his preaching, saw the controversial stuff, you know what I mean? But still, yeah, I didn't know either one of them. And I walked over to him, I said, I don't want to bother y'all, but I do want to bother you. I just want to introduce myself and say it's an honor and a privilege to meet both of you. Pastor Chubbs was very well known in Greensboro and Guilford County and throughout the country as well.
Okay.
Pastor Jeremiah Wright became well known because of President Obama and then the controversial stuff.
Right.
And I didn't get caught up in that. You get what I'm saying? And they both took time out to talk with me. And told them who I was, what my goals were. And, Pastor Wright sent me a letter when he got back to Chicago. Pastor Chubbs invited me over to his church. Said, when you get a chance, come by to church some Sunday. I said, okay. So I get a phone call, and they asked me to come, so I go. And I will never forget this. Pastor Chubb said, Danny, I want you to stand up. He says, I will not tell you all who to vote for because that's not my place. He said, but I will tell you this. There's never been one. So immediately I'm thinking like, there's never been an African American or black sheriff of Guilford County. Throughout my first time running for sheriff, he passes, Pastor Chubbs passes. And I didn't know him that well. But when he said, there's never been one like him, for the life of me, I had no earthly idea. I was thinking what I see before me, my color, my race, or ethnicity, or whatever. The man had been passed on, Pastor Chubbs had been passed on, right at 4 years, 5 years. And I'm campaigning. And it dawned on me, there's never been one that would love the people and have empathy. I tell people I'm not a politician. I'm on a mission from God. Once my mission is up, then he'll move me on. You know, you hear it all the time. Where's so-and-so going? I tell people, that don't excite me. And it's an honor. I've known you for several years now. It's an honor for me to sit here with you to see where you're headed, what your dreams are, what your goals are. And you to take time out to want to talk to me. That's an honor and a privilege. I meet people from all walks of life. Oh, I go up in the Guilford County Detention Centers or the residence halls that I call them. Oh, they call me a thug hugging the thug. Well, you know what? I'm a good one. Because I love people.
Right.
I've always been told by my grandmother, great-grandmother, be careful how you judge. Lest ye be judged.
Lest ye be judged. That's absolutely right.
So every individual that carries a badge or a gun or drive a vehicle here or work in an office specialist or whatever they work in Guilford County Sheriff's Office, I love each and every one of them. And I would give them my ear. You hear me? They don't have
believe
a-
that.
They
I
have a
believe
heart.
that. Yes.
Because I tell them, I say, you know, life itself is challenging. Many people forget about or what they were not taught that the battle did not begin once they exited their mother's womb, whether it's through C-section or natural birth. The battle began once you was passed from your father to your mother. Only the strong survive. Remember that.
Yes, absolutely.
Only the strong survive. Some come as one, some come as twins, triplets, quadruplets, you know. But we're here.
And hopefully those of us who are strong can kind of help those that may need some strength in their life, you know? That's part of the role.
I walk through High Point in Greensboro, centers, and I tell them, I say, hold up. You're here now. Prepare yourself for exiting to be successful
Absolutely.
from here. Right? Learning. I try to take every opportunity I can to learn as well as to give what nugget I can. Hopefully to help somebody.
Right. I think you do that very well. That's a good segue. I wanted to know what you thought was the biggest challenge that you see in not only having to deal with the operations of a jail, but also the unique structure that Guilford County has and the fact that we have 2 jails. So it's not just one structure with people and all the concerns that go along with one city, but that there are 2. It's a unique challenge as a sheriff.
So the unique piece of that is this: 2 municipalities. I always say it was a power struggle. back in the days before we was born.
Right.
High Point has their own issues. Greensboro has, I get it. I don't separate the two.
Okay.
Both municipalities are within Guilford County, within Guilford County. The challenge piece is that in High Point, I see more of the lack of the educational tools that was put there before people to actually pick up and learn. Now, did people give them the opportunity? I believe so. I do. I just think that a lot of times it's how things are perceived or given. Greensboro, the education piece is still there, like High Point, but you see where this is a much larger municipality, and people are more college-driven, professionally driven. Well, High Point was at one time the furniture capital city of the world, hosiery capital city of the world, and the people lived and raised their children off of that. And then they took those jobs from there to across the waters. And people had to begin to learn how to live in a different way. We're not taught how to be entrepreneurs,
Right.
the right way. You know, pharmaceutical runners, yeah, we see a lot of that.
Right.
But even with that, we take our time with that. We do what we need to get done. And we take the moment to educate and let them know they too can be successful.
Absolutely. They can indeed.
They can.
How do you encourage others with the stressors that come with law enforcement work? So what do you think is the best thing that you can do to help with occupational stressors that come with law enforcement work?
One of the first things I tell our team is that spend time with your family. Family first. You know, spend time. I learned that the hard way, unfortunately. But if you spend time with family and you connect, it energizes everything else that you need. It does. Take time away from the job. You know, I tell them that. Vacation is important. You know, I'm always kidding. I'm saying, who's on vacation this week? That's a holiday sheriff. I say, oh, you know, so-and-so this, so-and-so. We have a great time here. We do. The employees, the team members are laughing, they're walking around, smiling. I did turkey wings last week and bought some turkey wings in. That's a stress reliever. That's a network, that's a communication. That's a sign of love, a sign of giving. You know?
That social piece is important.
So, yes. So we do different things, you know. I go out in the field, I ride with them, or I fill in with them on a call, drive up on a traffic stop. I'll never overrun their call. I'm just there to be their backup.
I like that.
That's what I do.
I like that a lot. Two last things. I want to know what you think is the biggest challenge as an administrator. So specifically, maybe not with the law enforcement hat, but being someone that is the manager of so many people, what do you think is the number one challenge in the administration side of things?
The administration piece of it, I ran on a positive change. That was my motto. That was my vision. My campaign vision and motto. 2014, I ran on a positive change. I came back in 18 and brought the same message. The challenge has been not all people embrace change. Not always change is accepted or welcomed. But change is needed. Needed and brought with love, training, patience. It is. One of the things that they asked me, the media asked me, I'll never forget, it said, so what's going to be the first thing you do when you go into the office of sheriff? You know, like, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know.
Right.
I said, I had one thing to do first was to win the seat.
That's right.
I had to work hard to get that. But I continued to stay focused on what my mission would be. And the first thing I had to do was to evaluate the office, the whole entire office.
Right.
I'm going into 2 years. I'm still evaluating.
Right.
And we've made some changes. Challenge has been when people have been in positions for so long, they become complacent or become power over that position. The engine runs low. They're no longer being effective for the organization nor for the residents or citizens of Guilford County. So we've had to look at those things and see, that has been one of my challenges as an administrator. And then, you know, there's always the putting throwers, you know, but it's good.
Change is a big one, you know.
Change, yeah.
No one loves change just off the bat,
Yeah.
but oftentimes so necessary.
So oftentimes so necessary.
Right. The last question I just want to know is, what's the one thing that you wish everyone knew about being a sheriff that you think that no one does know about being a sheriff? What's that one interesting thing that you think you wish everyone knew?
That's a good piece. I had an office of command members in yesterday. We had a meeting. And one of the pieces that I focused on with them was that everyone in here has the ability to be the sheriff. I have been taught prior to being here, but being taught while I'm here daily by the great men and women that I work with. Good leaders are only as good as those that they are surrounded around. So I believe that what people need to know about the office of the sheriff is that when you put it in your own perspective, just for you, you will not be successful. The people around you will not be successful. But when you put it in a perspective that it is here, you are here for the people, for the common good of all men and women, all of us have a story to tell.
Indeed.
All of us have strengths, weaknesses, and problems. But we all been blessed to see a new day. We put it together like that, we can make it work.
Absolutely.
That's where I'm at.
Well, thank you.
You're very welcome.
I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yes.
So we thank you very much. Once again, we'd like to say thank you very much for joining us with Coffee with the Sheriff. Have a great day.